Hey, how's it going? In this video, I just wanted to chill in the garage, update you guys on my power lights in the garage here. And Christmas came a little bit early, and I got some James Hetfield strings to check out. Check out the lights. Got some pars up there, pars up here. And then I got some front of house pars lined up. The ones on the sides are those LED retrofits. And then I decided to keep the incandescent originals in the front of house. But yeah, I'm out here with my Stratocaster. Well, the story with the strings is I've been kind of going back and forth between some larger strings and some like more traditional strings, like anywhere between 11s, 10s, 10.5s. Stevie Ray Vaughan's notorious for having some huge strings. And so like I was digging into Metallica recently, and I noticed that James Hetfield had strings out. And I'm like looking at the gauges. I'm like, you know, that's not too far off from Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's kind of in the ballpark of some of the strings that I've been using on this thing, the Rory. Let me show you the strings that I have been using real quick. So these are the strings that I've been using on the Strat recently. The Rory is factory default, comes with 10s. And I have been using the Ernie Ball Paradigm strings on it just because they break a lot less often. They're a lot more reliable for playing live. But since I haven't been playing live too much, I've been trying these out, and I really like them. They're really cool. I've tried out a bunch of other strings too, though. These Cobalt Slinkies are pretty cool. They have a little bit of an extra spring to them. They break about the same as the normal Slinkies, so you can expect kind of the same performance life out of them. But if your string tension is a little bit on the tight side, you can try using the Cobalts, and it gives it a little bit of an easier feel. Oh, and here are some nickel rockers. This is the brand that Stevie Ray Vaughan used, and I actually I had to hunt this down, a pack of the strings that he used to use. This isn't his this didn't come from Stevie Ray Vaughan or anything, but it's just the same gauges. So these strings tend to break a lot, I noticed. So this box is all Paradigm strings. 10 is just kind of the standard gauge, 10 through 46. And the 11s I've used a little bit too, here and there. But these have been kind of my go-to strings on this guitar. And any guitar, Stratocaster that is, that I have to play at, you know, live performances. Just because I haven't had one break on me live. And they do eventually break on you, but I feel like the life of the string is probably about, I'd say 3 to 4 times as long as, say, the traditional standard Ernie Ball strings. So they are quite a bit more expensive. But, you know, I guess it kind of like evens itself out, you know, in the end, to be about the same. One side effect, though, from using, I feel like, the Paradigm strings is that the fret life isn't as long. This guitar is like only, you know, like 2 years old or something like that. And there's already some pretty big indentations dug into some of the frets. The Paradigm strings also happened to wear down my bridge, so I got in and tried to do the best job with Dremel that I had of kind of cleaning up any indentations and stuff like that. And now for a channel first unboxing. So Ernie Ball, Papa Het's hardwired master cores. Yeah, I was reading a little bit about this. I listened in the interview and he talked about how he was trying to get a little bit more high register tone out of some of the lower strings or something like that. And it was pretty interesting. Like, these strings are probably going to work better on a Gibson scale length guitar. Like, I actually have some 11s on my SG, and I prefer it over the lighter strings just because my SG, the neck has problems bending and intonation is kind of a pain. That's another thing I noticed with the Paradigm strings, is that it improved my guitar's staying in tune quite a bit. Like, it was noticeable. So let's take a look. Ooh. So it comes with 3 packs. They're about the same price as the normal Paradigm strings. Let's open it with a razor blade. So it's kind of like similar to the Paradigm strings, just his unique signature sizes. So there's the big string. And so it's just 3 packs, and then you get a tin. It's like $35 or something. New. And I'm not sure how long they're gonna have these. I think it's just kind of a special deal for now. Alright, so I'm back here at the table. I had to switch things around just because I'm trying to like figure out the best way to put this on camera, with surrounded by drum set gear and all other kind of garage packed away shenanigan stuff, Christmas presents and whatnot. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, I thought about it for a second, you know. It might be a little bit of a mundane type of video, but a lot of the videos that I kind of like is just people talking about guitar and the intricacies of guitar. And, you know, there's a lot of different things to learn about the different artists and their styles and the type of playing and the history. And every, you know, famous guitar artist is unique in a certain way. So I always appreciate listening to people's videos where they just talk about their experience with music and stuff like that, you know. But I have some Calham parts up here. I kind of toyed around with the idea of I used to have a Mexican Strat that was really nice, but the neck profile wasn't good for my hands. Like, I had cramping problems. And so I got this bridge to experiment with replacing some of the parts. And now I just kind of keep it around if I need extra screws to replace some of the saddles. Because on Fender guitars, the screws aren't the same length for each saddle, and so sometimes if you need longer screws for a certain one, you can you need to like order some or swap them out. But yeah, this is a Fender Custom Shop Rory Gallagher guitar from Guitar Showcase. Pretty much my dream guitar. So I kind of lucked out with Guitar Showcase in finding my dream amplifier, and then a month or 2 months later, my dream guitar. I mean, they actually have, you know, the Stevie Ray Vaughan John Cruz guitar that is my holy grail personally. But that guitar's 50 grand, so that's not going to happen. So what I'd like to do is just kind of bend it over there, and then so about four tuner lengths is what I like to do on the strings. So you just kind of go with your hands. I'm gonna do like 4.5. Clip it. And I got this cool Diodario string change kit. Although the string change kit didn't come with the feeler gauge. I had to get that at a automotive store. And then just put it in. And I like working from large string to lighter strings. That's just me. Let me get my string winder. This also came from Guitar Showcase. It's glow in the dark string attachment. Wrong way. So you just kind of guide it with your finger and then let it rotate itself in. Just keep tension on it. And then you just want a little bit of tension. And then I'll put it here for now, but what I'll do is I'll come back after I have all the strings on. It's kind of awkward bending over with the drum set, but I'll come back after I put all these strings on and I'll hit it with this Big Ben's nut sauce. What it is it's like a kind of a gel lubrication that goes in the nut slot to help lubricate the slots up here so the strings can move when you're tuning them for fine pitch. So that's the first one, and there's 1, 2, 3 turns, and I heard that is what Stevie Ray Vaughan's Guitar Tech recommends for the correct string angle that he used for Stevie Ray Vaughan. So here's the next string, 38. I'm kind of excited about these strings. Because this guitar, I did some adjustments to the neck a while ago. I probably had 11s on it. Push it down here, get a little bend. But the relief is kind of low. This is set up pretty straight, which is nice for playability, but it's not exactly to the specs that were close to Stevie Ray Vaughan, which was like the relief was like 0.012 thousandths, and this one's probably like 0.009 or somewhere in there with the old strings I had on the 8.5 or the 10.5 strings. So I'm just going in here, taking about 4 tuners, or so and snipping it. This tool I think I bought separately, Music Nomad. Alright, so that's got a lot of turns. It's got 3 turns. Well, that's good enough, I guess. It's about as low as it can go. Yeah, I finished with my initial 8 par setup. I got a good deal on this old NSI light controller, which does not use DMX, but because it's an old technology, I was able to get the dimmer boxes, 2 of them, and the light controller for really cheap, like $100 or something like that, off Craigslist, which is really a really good deal. It's kind of cool because the NSI, how it works, the lighting controller, it actually, there's power on the XLR cable that connects the dimmer boxes to the controller box. So you don't have to actually plug it in, which is kind of cool. So all you have to do is plug in the dimmer boxes and make sure they have power and everything's cool. So let's go 4 and then clip it. But I really like them. It's really cool. So that's the newest thing to the garage. And I just went and got a 2x4 and put it up on the rafters and clamp the lights up there. So it's kind of a cool thing. Now I used some of this nut sauce underneath the string trees up here to lubricate it already. Like, I didn't show it, but when you buy this stuff, it comes with these 2 little teeny brushes or swabs or something, so you can put it up under there. And so when you're down here with the strings loose, you want to fuss with them and make sure they're aligned the way that you like them. Looks good to me. 18P, 18 plain, not wound. So it's an interesting dynamic, the guitar's scale length and the size of the string. A lot of the vintage strings were fairly large. I'm not quite sure if that had something to do with popular scale lengths, but the Gibson scale length is a little bit shorter than the Fender, and Fender was trying to make guitars that were sort of a replacement for pedal steels when he was first getting started. So it's kind of interesting, and there's whole fan bases between the different string sizes, because Jimi Hendrix notably used lighter strings because he had some incredible bends that he used to pull off. But along came Stevie Ray Vaughan and kind of hip people to using some bigger strings. But yeah, just a note about this guitar. When I saw this guitar at Guitar Showcase, I had actually purchased another custom shop Strat that was like, oh, okay, I found it. I found the dream guitar, you know, the time was right and whatnot, and it was used, so it was at a discount. And this thing came in, and I played it, and I was like, oh my god, Jesus Christ, this thing is amazing. That sounds like gunshots. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that a full magazine of something? "11 shots. What's the time? Look at the time. 11:17. 11:17. 11 shots at 11 o'clock. So anyways, this thing came in. I was just like, dang it. I already spent so much money on the Stratocaster. But this thing, it has nothing to do with the finish. Like, I know a lot of people are down on relicking, and honestly, I don't even like this relicking job on it. It's kind of like, you can tell it's just some kind of like stencil cutouts they used and then like airbrushed it, which is a shame because if you look at the finish, it's freaking amazing. But it's just the woods that are used, the pickups and the hardware, mainly the wood, the nut and everything, and just the size of the neck. The neck's a huge part of a Fender guitar. It's just amazing. So anyways, this thing came in and I was just like, oh man, I gotta meditate on this for a while. Because at the time, I didn't know anything about Rory Gallagher, you know. And so I went home because I felt bad. It's like, man, if I take some stuff down there and trade some stuff and get this thing, like, I'm going to be taking this guitar away from her, like a real Rory Gallagher fan, you know. And Fender Custom Shop guitars, they take a while to come in. Like, it can take a year to 2 years, maybe, depending, for guitars to come in. And so I just, left it there and just thought, well, I'll just be happy with what I got and be thankful for what I got. And then came back a couple times and it was just still sitting there. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, this guitar is freaking awesome. It's crazy. It's so good. And I was talking to Rich down there, and he was like, yeah, man, this is like the best Strat in the shop right now, or whatever. Well, that's not true. They have real higher end vintage Strats in the shop, but like, this is the like best player grade, should I say, like that people have been playing around, I'm like, damn. So anyways, I went home and I was like, well, who is Rory Gallagher, man? And I started like watching his videos and everything and his live performances. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is incredible. Like, amazing. Like, I was reading stuff about how the Rolling Stones were maybe opting to have him as a guitar player, but Rory was just, he would blow Mick Jagger off the stage. Which is pretty crazy. So I've cut this one a little short because I jibber jabbing. Oh well. But anyways, yeah, Rory is just amazing. Very unique individual too, man. Like, I learned about Rory, I'm like, damn it, I'm a Rory fan. Like, I don't play a lot of his songs, but like, Laundromat's amazing, and so he has a really unique soloing style too. And I noticed he would do a thing with harmonics where he would use both sides of his fingers on the pick to hit harmonics and upstroke and downstroke. And the interesting thing is when I was younger in high school, just dicking around with my guitars, like I would do stuff like that. I'm like listening to this, I'm like, dang, that's like I know how to do that. I used to use that. Like I didn't know what to do with it, but like I did used to do it. So I'm familiar with the technique. So just bend this guy down a little bit. So anyways, yeah. There's a point where you're just like, am I gonna do this cool thing, or am I just gonna like regret it the rest of my life? And so I ended up taking an amp down there, a bass guitar, and trading some stuff. And I happened to be have a student discount at the time, which helped a little bit too. I was taking a couple lessons. And so, yeah, it's an experience. You know, there's definitely something to growing up with just the bare basics gear, and then finally when that day comes when you can actually get some professional, you know, incredible instruments, it just opens a whole new I don't know how to say, just it's a whole new inspiration, and it really gives you a chance to experience your limits as a player, because you know the gear is not so much the issue anymore. It's your learning of the solos and the techniques and stuff like that. And professional gear reacts quite a bit differently than student grade guitars and amplifiers. So there's definitely a learning curve going from student grade things to professional gear, and vintage gear too has quite a bit of a learning curve. There's a lot of maintenance involved with older amplifiers and older style guitars. You know, they weren't crafted to do modern things, you know. The tremolo is completely different from a Floyd Rose, so there's quite a few intricacies with pickup height and intonation and the action and the setup that all interplay on these old Fender guitars that are important to the whole sound, really. So we got the strings on. Everything looks good. So let's put some of this nut sauce up on here. There. And then put this here. The strings feel fine. And the nut, I don't feel any kind of problems with the slot sizes. Sometimes you need to be careful about string sizes if the nut slots aren't cut wide enough. The strings can hang up in them, and they can also not be seated properly, and that can cause problems. Let's take a look at this low E. That fits in there quite nice. I can't remember if I actually did any work to this or not. I think this is a stock nut. I do have another neck. Maybe I'll grab it real quick. This is a really cool neck. That was one of my mistakes because I ordered the wrong specifications. This is a Warmoth neck, and this nut was installed at Guitar Showcase and cut at Showcase, although I take it back and I did some more work in rounding the thing and the curves off and whatnot. But this neck I accidentally ordered the thicker neck when I was trying to get the Stevie Ray Vaughan size. So this neck is actually too big for my hand, which is a shame because it has steel frets. And it's an amazing neck. If you can look at the quarter sawn wood on it, it's just amazing. And I put a little light finish up on the top, the bottom here. But someday I'm going to come back. I put these grooves in because these are size markers on how much I need to take off the neck to get it down. But yeah, this is amazing. It's a shame because it was really expensive. So be that a lesson to get as much advice when you're ordering custom parts and working on projects, you know. Alright, I'm going to tune this guy up and then we'll see you at the amplifier and we'll see how it sounds. I just want to take a second here and talk about the amplifier that I'll be checking out the strings and everything with. This is a Fender Pro Reverb. It's from the late 70s, probably 1979. It's a Fender, what they call an ultra linear circuit, which is probably one of the last of the vintage circuits, I guess you could say, where they used some point-to-point and what have you. It has a master volume, vibrato channel with reverb, treble, middle, bass, and then a normal channel which does not have reverb. I've done a little bit to this amplifier. I replaced the speakers and I went on a quest to find my favorite Fender 12-inch speaker for like a 2x12 cab. And oh look, the sticker's coming off. Wonderful. Anyways, I settled on these Jensen MOD 1250 8 ohms. I've been impressed by the Jensen speakers that I've used, and Fender's used a lot of ceramic back Jensen speakers with their amplifiers fairly recently. And these MODs have a nice bottom end, and they have a nice chimey top end, and they have a pretty decent and balanced mids. They're not over the top on the treble, and the low end really adds to give the open back combo a little bit more body to it than you would have with some of the other Jensen speakers. And then on this amp I replaced the power cable, and I also have a new foot switch for it. And I also went and did a little routine servicing it with cleaning the tube sockets and some of the connections. Alright. Well, it started raining. So I thought, why not get into the spirit? Alright, I'll turn off the vibrato. So, the strings, the tension is raising up the tremolo a little bit. Like I mentioned, so the springs need to be adjusted. I'm really liking the low E string a lot. I like the feel of the low 3 strings. The G string is a little bit tight tension wise. The 2 high strings, it's hard to get loud because it's like midnight, but but I feel like if the strings are tuned down to E flat, then the tension should be pretty nice, about right. So I think, I mean, they're nice strings. I like them. I really like the low E string, man. It's really cool. Very cool. Reverb's a little intense. So it's pretty cool. Basically, Ernie Bulb Paradigm set with the low end a little bit more refined of 11, like 11 set, you know. They're pretty cool. So we're checking out. it's kind of hard to like really start jamming because it's really late. It's like 1 o'clock. But yeah, it's raining. Maybe if I turn the amp down a little bit. So I probably gotta end things there. Cool strings. I like them. They'd probably be better on a Gibson style guitar. Gibson scale length. I think they're probably pretty good for the Strat, and if you're an E flat. I really like the low strings. I really do. The G string is kind of a pain in the ass. The upper two strings are what you would expect for their size. But yeah, it's cool. I dig it.